same thing in your mind. The only time I'm right is when I play along.
Hüsker or Hüsker if you're doing German umlauts, although I understand these are heavy metal umlauts, were a hardcore punk / alt-rock band from St. Paul's in Minnesota in the US. They existed from 1979 to 1988 and are a rare band to have retained all members for the entirety of their existence, which are the threesome of Bob, Grant, and Greg. They started as hardcore punk and decided to play as fast as they could. And later, they slowed down and got more melodic. And Wikipedia lists 7 albums and EPs, but doesn't distinguish between them. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Flip Your Wig by Hüsker, which was released in 1985 and was their 4th studio album. And it's my first time listening to it. In fact, it's my first time, I think, listening to Hüsker at all. I like the name of the band, and so I was quite excited about listening to this. How would I describe it? Well, it's kind of punk crossed with pop rock. It's certainly not hardcore punk, which is what apparently they were in earlier albums. It's definitely singing rather than shouty screaming, and it's quite melodic. And I'm not the only person who's made that comment, which means they sing with tunes and sometimes even with harmonies. And in kind of musical, structural, and somewhat the style of the singing feel, it reminds me of Bare Naked Ladies and other kind of pop rock of that style, but then kind of punked up a bit. So we've got a thrashy guitar that forms what I always think of as a background curtain of guitar, which kind of fills most of the sound. We've got fastish drums, which are quite poppy in their production, and an almost inaudible bass in there. And those, if you've watched videos of mine before, you might know that doesn't necessarily go down too well with me, given that I play bass, and so I like to hear the bass. The production here is definitely somewhat on the lo-fi end of the spectrum. Things aren't clear, things aren't, and it's not totally kind of mushed up and sounding like it's just been recorded on a portable cassette recorder in a garage, but it certainly doesn't sound like it's been done in a nice kind of crisp, clear studio setting. It's musically straightforward and pretty immediate, except for the last couple of tracks. So the first of those is the experimental and chaotic and distinctly discordant The Wit and the Wisdom. And also, actually, I don't know yet, is also more experimental and instrumental as well. Saying that those 2 tracks are more interesting, though, is not saying much, I'm afraid, because I'm not a huge fan. I have to say, unfortunately, I'm a little bit disappointed, because with the name of a band like that, why did I expect it to be more interesting than that? Because they've chosen an interesting name. So I understand that earlier in their career, they were pretty significant as hardcore punk. They were quite foundational. And that this is more of an accessible album from them. But I actually just found it to be fairly dull. Maybe it needs to be played at some insane volume to really get the juice out of it. I don't know. The songs are about, I'm not really sure most of the time. The voice is too low in the mix. Sometimes it's quite slurred. Although I did want to say that sometimes he sounds a bit like Michael Stipe when he's singing, I think. But yeah, I'm not a great fan. And I think I probably should stop, because at this point I'm just hating off. I'd love to know what you think of this album. So, and especially if you love this album and you think I'm completely wrong, please do let me know by leaving me a comment. And for a little while at least, I'm going to keep doing the traditional thing. I haven't done this often, but why not join me on this journey by subscribing to the channel and clicking on the thing to get notified? It'd be nice to push up the subscriptions a bit more. And it'd be nice to have more people coming along with me on this journey through this amazing list of albums that I'm reviewing. But that's it from me for now.